broadly speaking, the notion that career development is essential is becoming more and more recognized. Perhaps the more disrupted the world becomes, the more people realize that we need something different than what we have had in the past. And guidance, because of the body of evidence that we have, I think is being seen more and more as a potential solution and an underutilized lever to help particularly young people as they're trying to navigate in this very challenging world. And that is starting to permeate now the general public and the media. But we were able to work with all of the ministers of education across all 13 provinces and territories to agree unanimously on a policy framework for career education. And so that was adopted a number of years ago, and now we see some very good examples of it being implemented in various parts of Canada. So I do think, although we are geographically a very big country with a complex structure when it comes to education, we do have quite strong policies to guide what happens in schools. We know that career guidance brings impacts, sort of short-term academic educational impacts, medium-term labor market impacts, and then long-term life impacts. Even if you are a die-hard believer that education should be focused on academics and on the knowledge acquisition, even if that's what you believe, career guidance is a good investment because it actually serves almost like an amplifier or a jetpack to engage students in their learning. And we know that students who participate in guidance get better grades and persist longer. Obviously, we have big body of evidence that talks about the labor market impacts. So people who access good career guidance are much more likely to enter the labor market and navigate across the labor market effectively. And we know from the research that guidance also prepares young people to move through life with hope and with health and with intent. I'll just give you a couple of examples. We did a randomized control trial study in partnership with a number of other organizations, and it followed students who received career guidance for now it's been over a decade that they've been followed. And what they're seeing is those students that received career guidance are making a significantly higher income than their counterparts who didn't receive it. And the estimate of the economist that did this research was that the cost savings for that person was about $50,000. Politicians for a very long time didn't really understand what career guidance was and certainly didn't understand the importance of it. And so it has been a long journey of working with all levels of government and the general public to understand what career guidance is and why it's so critically important. So we have placed a very strong emphasis on research and impact studies in Canada. So both sort of the kind of impact studies that are tracking the kinds of outcomes that result from career guidance, but also really trying to build randomized control trial studies so that we can isolate that impact and say with confidence that the impacts that we're seeing are a result of the career guidance as opposed to any other number of influencers in a person's life. So those studies in particular have been very powerfully effective because we can say with rigor and complete confidence that the impacts that we see are the result of the guidance interventions. For real change to happen, it has to happen policy down and frontline up. There's a lot of congruence between the excellence model and our own Canadian model and other international models like Gatsby. When you look at them side by side, there is a high degree of consistency. I did notice a couple of areas that excellence emphasized that none of the other frameworks that I've seen did that I was really impressed with. One is that need for the engagement of interest holders and coordination across interest holders. I think that guidance and career development is one of those areas that is so powerful because it touches across labor and education and health and so many areas of interest and across multiple levels of government as well, which makes it powerful, but it also makes it easy to be lost. Because when it's everybody's business, it's easy for it to become nobody's business. And so that emphasis on coordination and really engaging multiple stakeholders and interest holders in a coordinated way, I thought was a brilliant addition.